Inner Power Entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Dr. Amanda, and you're in the right place if you're a growth-minded entrepreneur who's ready to align your energy, mindset, and business growth habits to manifest entrepreneurial success, whatever that means to you, at whatever level of the game you want to play at. And buckle up today because I have a inspired, somewhat of a ranting episode for you. I want to inspire you through ranting a little bit about people making excuses and not taking their businesses seriously, and then asking why they're not getting the results that they want. So today we're talking about, are you a professional or an amateur, and how to stop making excuses and be a professional. Be a professional in your business. I already feel myself getting worked up. So this is coming from in my book club. In the morning routine for entrepreneurs program that I have, we have a book club running and we read books. And every Saturday there's a book club where I release a post or a lesson on audio, and then people can chime in. And we just finished up Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you haven't read it, it's an absolute must read. And in his book, he talks about being a professional versus an amateur. And so I want to read a little bit to you from his book, and we're going to talk about this today because I think this is such a powerful conversation. And it's one that comes up with people that I talk to really in my peripheral world, not the people I work with, because when people come into my world, they're ready to rock and roll. And yes, they're dealing with figuring out how to stop making excuses and procrastination and imposter syndrome, and that's what I'm helping them with. But they're really ready to be a professional. They want that professional level income. And so often these conversations come up with me with people who I'll run into at, like, let's say a workshop or somewhere in my world where I'm talking to someone who's building a business and so am I, and maybe we started at the same time, and they're telling me all these excuses about why they haven't done what they said they were going to do the last time I talked to them. And I'm just sitting there thinking, man, you're really not serious about your business because you've got to treat it like a business. So we're going to break that down. But first I want to read to you from Atomic Habits. So if you have Atomic Habits, I know he has a few versions, but I don't think he's ever changed the page numbers in there. So on page 236 is where I'm reading from. And he says, I guarantee that if you manage to start a habit and keep sticking to it, there will be days when you feel like quitting. When you start a business, there will be days when you don't feel like showing up. When you're at the gym, there will be sets that you don't feel like finishing. When it's time to write, there will be days that you don't feel like typing. But stepping up when it's annoying or painful or draining to do, that's what makes the difference between a professional and an amateur. He says, professionals stick to the schedule. Amateurs let life get in the way. I'm going to read that again, and you must write this down straight out of his book. It's so freaking awesome. Professionals stick to a schedule. Amateurs let life get in the way. Professionals know what is important to them and work toward it with purpose. Amateurs get pulled off course by the urgencies of life. And then skipping down a little bit, he says, when a habit is truly important to you, you have to be willing to stick to it in any mood. Professionals take action even when the mood isn't right. They might not enjoy it, but they find a way to put in the reps. That is some powerful stuff right there. And I don't want to argue with some of it or put some nuances and add some nuances to it and then dig in. So one thing, when he says when a habit is truly important to you, you have to be willing to stick to it in any mood. This is interesting to me because as a manifestation coach, I think that when you choose a business that you love, you're automatically going to be very inspired by your why. And so you wouldn't have this sentiment of I have to do something. Yet, when you're building a business, there are so many components to building a business that there are going to be parts of your business building adventures that you probably don't enjoy. And let's say you're at a more beginning stage of your business, pre-six figure, you're not going to yet delegate everything away. I'm not even to where I delegate 100% yet. I would say that I'm in my zone of genius 80% of my day, and I'm striving for 100 and I'm getting there. And so that 20% of the stuff that I do is things where I go, okay, I choose to do this because I'm a freaking professional, because I care about my business, because I care about all of you, because I'm dedicated and I show up every single day, and I'm not willy-nilly amateur hobby-like about it. I don't go, oh, stuff came up, so I can't put out an episode this week. Oh, stuff came up, so I'm not going to show up for my appointments. Oh, stuff came up, so I'm not going to post my content. That's an amateur. Don't be an amateur, be a professional. A professional sticks to their habits whether they're in any mood. And I want you to really consider, are you a professional or are you an amateur? Are you somebody who gets pulled off course by the urgencies of life? Are you somebody who sticks to it and you put the reps in no matter what? So in manifestation, you're going to want to get yourself aligned and have fun doing things. And some of what he's saying here is, are you willing to do what it takes when shit gets hard? Are you willing to do what it takes even if it's kind of boring? Are you willing to do the same redundancies over and over and over again to become a professional? Because professionals will stick through the challenging times, they'll stick through the boring times, they'll stick through the times when it's happening slower than they expect. This is something I see happen a lot for entrepreneurs. They expect rapid results, and if they aren't getting overnight success as fast as they expected, they want to give up. And then they start to have shiny object syndrome, and they go, oh, it's not working, so I'm going to pivot, or I'm not going to release this week because last week I didn't get enough people listening to the episode, or people didn't respond to my post, or no one's contacting me for a meeting or a consult. And so they give up and they pivot again, and then they never build momentum. And I want you to think about this. If you want a professional income, you can't treat your business like an amateur. It's really powerful to remember. If you want a professional level income where you're talking the big bucks, 6, 7, 8 figures, you can't treat your business like a hobby. You can't be an amateur. You can't show up sometimes and expect people to pay you. That doesn't make sense. Would you pay somebody for their services if you showed up and sometimes they were available and sometimes they weren't, or their product was shoddy and sometimes worked, and you called them and sometimes they were open? No, you would never do that. You expect what you get what you pay for, right? And an amateur is somebody who is not willing to show up no matter what. They're not willing to figure out how to delegate away the stuff that they don't enjoy so that they can build a business that's successful and always reliable. This is really important. Last week I had surgery, and I have a daily morning routine for entrepreneurs program. So every single day I release a lesson that includes an inspirational and, training style lesson with a journaling prompt, a short meditation, and an mantra. And that happens every single day. And then Saturdays we have book club, like I was talking about. Now, if I were an amateur, I could have been like, hey everyone, I'm tired. I'm having surgery. I'm not going to show up. No, I planned ahead so that I could release the posts ahead. And that's what a professional does. You've got to plan ahead. You don't make excuses and not show up because all of a sudden your emotions get in the way or life gets in the way. Remember, he said professionals stick to the schedule, amateurs let life get in the way. So listen to some of these excuses and see if they resonate for you. I've heard many of these, and I could have written down hundreds. I just wrote down a few. And this is a recent one because, it's September and school for kids started last week. So I heard people say, well, school was starting for my kids, so I couldn't get started, or I couldn't release something. My friend was having a hard time, so I needed to take time to help them. I couldn't figure out the tech. For example, software, or how to set up the nurturing system in the email, or how to set up an email list. I couldn't figure out the tech. I've been feeling really tired lately. Sometimes I hear women say, I got my period, or guys will say, oh, things came up with my wife. I needed a break. I wasn't feeling inspired. And really, I want you to think about how this sounds exactly like kids in school who would say the dog ate my homework. It's the same damn thing. Stop making excuses. My dad always said to me growing up, excuses are like Buttsies. We all have one and they all all stink. And I always cracked up at that because it's so true. The difference between successful and unsuccessful people is excuses. It's a lack of commitment, and it's a lack of recommitting every single day to doing what it takes to be a pro. A pro is somebody who gets up in the morning and decides, commits, and takes NFA, no fucking around action. They are serious in their approach. They're committed. They know what they want, and they're willing to go through the motions. They're willing to stick to it when it gets hard. They're willing to stick to it when it's easy. They're willing to celebrate themselves. They're willing to sit through the upward spiral growth journey and know that on that journey there are going to be downsides, and that sometimes it's going to feel scary, sometimes it's going to feel hard, sometimes you're going to be bored out of your mind, sometimes you're going to want to pivot and you're going to want to get stuck with shiny object syndrome, but you're not going to, because you have decided and committed to take NFA action, and you're going to wake up every day and recommit daily. So think about it this way: a high level multi-million-dollar CEO runs their company with a schedule, with a plan of action, and they don't falter. They don't sometimes decide to show up and other days not. That's why they get that level of income. So in your business, you've got to decide to be the exact same way. Stop making excuses and treat your business like a professional. I know that this is resonating for some of you, and I know it sounds somewhat harsh, and I want to be real with you. I'm a person who is seriously committed to what I do. And I've shown up week after week after week after week with sometimes no income, sometimes being terrified about what the outcome was going to be, sometimes nobody responding to posts, not getting a ton of downloads on the podcast, knowing where my next paycheck's going to come from, not knowing where the next client's going to come from. And I still stick to it because I treat my business like I'm a professional, because I hold my mind clearly committed to my long-term vision, which is to impact 5 million people through my company. And so through any up and down that I experience, I recommit. And it does get hard sometimes. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm actually pretty tired today. I'm recording this on a Sunday because next week I'm traveling to speak, and I got surgery last week. I have been sleeping 10 to 11 hours a night, and I've been laying down and resting, and in between just doing a little bit of work here and there. And luckily I love what I do. So like when I'm doing this right now, I have like this fiery feeling, and I'm like, I'll finish this and I'll feel really alive because I enjoy doing this. And so you want to play to your strengths in your business and play to your zone of genius and do stuff you enjoy. It makes it that much easier to be committed. Don't let yourself commit to shit you hate. You've got to start delegating and dropping things that aren't important and choosing how to play to your strengths. And that's zone of genius work, right? That's going to really help you be a professional. And at the same time, know that stuff is going to get scary and hard sometimes. And I really want you to stop making excuses. A really great exercise for you to do would be to write in your journal, what are the main excuses I use to not get stuff done? What are my main excuses I use? Is it that you get tired? Is it that you don't know the tech? Is it that you feel overwhelmed? A lot of people will just say, I'm overwhelmed, I need a break. Or they'll use family as an excuse. That's a really common one I see, is that people use their family or their kids as an excuse. They say they're tired, or they get confused and overwhelmed by the tech parts. And I want to say that's an excuse because, you can turn on YouTube University and type in literally anything. You can learn how to make meth on YouTube. I mean, the only reason I know that is because I used to teach a crime and society class, and I had my students research what they could find on YouTube in terms of deviant behavior. So I haven't researched how to make meth myself, just a disclaimer there. But it really, you can find anything on YouTube. And so if you don't know the tech, learn. Be committed, figure it out, hire someone to help you, go learn it yourself. When I started my business, I didn't know anything about podcasting. I didn't know anything about YouTube. I didn't know anything about Instagram. I didn't even I think I had a personal Instagram account, and I had posted maybe 3 or 4 posts, or 10 or something, but I wasn't regular. And I figured it all out. I didn't know anything about speaking. I didn't know anything about, like motivational or inspirational speaking. I didn't know how to do most of the things that I do. Yes, grad school taught me a lot about being able to speak in public in front of people because I taught 2,500 students, which was a huge gift, and I knew how to piece together lessons, but I took what I learned there and I took what I knew and I let what I knew grow into my company now. So you want to do the same thing. For you to be a professional, you want to take what you know and let what you know grow. And you want to couple that with your zone of genius brilliance, because that's going to be the inspirational force that keeps you going when stuff gets hard. When you wake up in the morning and you feel disinspired, you're going to need to say to yourself sometimes, hey, I'm recommitted. It's okay. Sometimes shit gets hard. Sometimes it's boring, and I'm still going to do it anyway because I look at my block schedule and I have got all these things on my schedule and I'm the powerful CEO of my company. You've got to say to yourself, I'm the kind of person who's serious. I'm the kind of person who's looking for freedom and income and time freedom in my business. I'm the type of person who's looking to be an entrepreneur who's successful at the level where I create time and money freedom. I am the type of person who decides, commits, and takes daily strategic action. I'm the kind of person who recommits daily. I'm the kind of person who enjoys what I do and is building a business where I get to live 100% in my zone of genius instead of being a prisoner to someone else and making money for them. If you're transitioning out of a W-2 into your business and being a full-time entrepreneur, you better be treating it like a professional. And that's how professionals treat their businesses. They don't make excuses. They don't let life get in the way. They don't falter when the mood isn't right. Instead, they put the reps in daily. Yes. So that is you. And so play with this. These are the really clear ways of how to stop making excuses. And I've shared this throughout. I want you to decide, commit, and take NFA action. You're going to need to recommit daily. Make a plan of action and stick to it, just like a CEO would run their company. You're running your company. And I hope you're building it for the long-term future where you someday you could sell it and have an exit strategy to make millions or billions of dollars. That's the power of entrepreneurship, but it's definitely not going to happen if you're treating it like an amateur. You need to be future forecasting. You need to be setting a schedule and sticking to it, even when you aren't in the mood. And if you are really serious about stopping making excuses, you've got to learn, how do I play to my zone of genius? How do I learn to drop, automate, and delegate things that aren't in my zone of genius? Do you know your why? This is another way to stop making excuses. Anytime your mood is off, you just replay your why. And you go, wait, why am I doing this? And write down a list. Get up in the morning and write down your why. And then get grateful about the opportunity you have to make unlimited income and impact through your business. That is the beauty and brilliance of being an entrepreneur. And if you treat it like a professional, you literally have limitless opportunity to make any amount of money you choose and impact limitless number of people. That is a gift. And you get to create money out of thin air. You get to create solutions out of thin air for the people that you serve. So treat it like a professional. Stop making excuses. If I were with you right now, I would give you jumping high fives. I'd have you write down your list of excuses, and then I'd have you crumple it up, throw it in the trash, burn it, and then decide, commit, and take NFA action. Create a schedule, recommit daily, live in your zone of genius, and do it again every single day until you reach your level of chosen success, because it's 100% possible when you treat your business like you're a professional. You've got this. I believe in you. You believe in yourself, and you take it seriously. Yes. Okay. I'm really inspired today. It's amazing sitting in this space of being, physically tired because I had surgery last week, and still loving my business so much that I show up for it, and caring about all of you so much that I show up for it, and really having a lot of reflection time to think about, what am I creating, and what am I choosing to create, and what is manifestation? Like, what this manifesting energy for me has to do with my alignment. When you're aligned, you're going to be a professional. When you believe in what you're doing, you feel good about what you're doing, you think about it nonstop, like you're obsessed because you love it so much, your success is inevitable. And that's really who I am in my soul and in my heart. And that's why I show up for you every single week here in this podcast and in my company and in the programs that I create. I love what I do, and I decide and I commit and I take NFA action every single day. Like being down with surgery for me is just a little slight decrease in what I put out in the world, and I give myself time to rest, and then I can't wait to get back to it because I love what I do. And that's the kind of business you want to be creating if you want to have long-term success. You want to love what you do so much that you can't wait to get out of bed, and you don't get sick because there's no opportunity for it, and your vibe is so high that your immune system is high, right? So really be considering, how are you setting yourself up as a professional? And if you have been treating your business like an amateur, that's okay. Just stop making excuses and become a professional. You can do it. All right. Make sure, if you haven't checked out my program yet, this is a killer program. The next book we're starting next week is The Law of Attraction. I'm so excited about it. You're definitely going to want to join. 7-day free trial for the program. So go to morningroutineforentrepreneurs.com. morningroutineforentrepreneurs.com. And you can enroll in a 7-day free trial. What that will do is unlock the whole program for you, so you can see everything and see if it's a good fit. If it's not, cancel. I wouldn't want you there if you don't want to be there. If it's a good fit, you'll stay and you'll get so much gold out of it. I promise. I put my heart and soul and energy into it. My everything I've learned. There's a community. It's a really cool program. So on top of the daily lessons and the book club, you also get a once-a-month live master class with me where we talk about goals and we do live coaching, and it's really fun. So can't wait to see you there. morningroutineforentrepreneurs.com. And until the next episode, I'm sending you giant hugs and inner power high fives.